I wake up every morning upset about one core thing in the context of why we're all here today from a business standpoint, and that is that it's 2013, right? It's 2013, and 99.9% of the people in this room right now are marketing their events like it's 2004. And that to me is it, right? That to me is the only reason I've been successful in my life. The reason I was able to build my family business in a 5-year period from a $3 to $45 million business is not based on my good looks or charisma. It's based on the fact that I understood where the consumer was in 1996 and where they were more importantly gonna be in 1998. I launched WineLibrary.com in 1996. It was the second wine website on the internet. I paid $15,000 to build the website, and we sold $812 in wine in the first year. I don't know how many of you in this room have a Soviet father, but that did not go over very well. 36 months later, we sold $4.5 million worth of wine. That went over a little bit better. And so I think what I'm passionate about is that we get stuck in the ways we market. Direct mail, email marketing, print, radio, television, all of which in the last half decade have collapsed in the attention of our consumer, right? When you look at open rates of email, how many people here have done email marketing for any of their businesses or what you do for a living? Raise your hands high, don't bullshit me. Thank you. So almost everybody. How many people here have been doing it for more than 5 years? Raise your hand. How are your email open rates compared to the way they were 5 years ago? Because there's one thing I know more than anything, more than the fact that I know that the sun will come up tomorrow, the thing that I know is that marketers ruin everything. It's true, right? How many people here, by show of hands and no half-ass hands again, how many people here signed up for Groupon, Living Social, Daily Candy, one of those sites? Raise your hand. Great. Remember 3-4 years ago how you couldn't wait to get $40 worth of sushi for 20 bucks? That it was the greatest thing that ever happened to you? Well, you don't open those emails anymore, right? You don't care if Groupon offers you $1 million home for 100 bucks. You're like, delete, spam, unsubscribe, because they sent you so much stuff that you didn't want at scale, right? And so, I mean, Google AdWords, such an effective, scalable way to market, and they're down 15% this year. I mean, Google's reporting themselves that clicks on AdWords are down 15%. Habits are changing. We have to, in this room, understand that the only thing you do, I don't care the genre of your conference. I don't care if you're an operator, if you're B2B and trying to get people, whether you're trying to be B2C and get people to come to the event. I want everybody in this room to understand, including myself, whether you sell wine or a creative social media agency, no matter what you do, Bizbash, Eventbrite, no matter what you do, every person in this room is a storyteller. It is our job to tell our story, what our value proposition is to somebody along the path of purchase, period. It connects every one of us. And to be a good storyteller, you actually need the attention of the customer to get an at-bat to tell your story. The attention of our customers, my friends, are shifting, and they're shifting fast. The eyes and ears of the people that we're trying to reach are in a very different place than they were 3, 4, even 2 years ago. And that is something we have to reconcile. On top of that, we have the respect of how to actually storytell in those places. Way too many of you, and I was looking at the hashtag and the tweets before this event and then kind of tried to look at what you guys did for a living to create a little context. Way too many of you, and I'm talking a staggering 99% of you, are pushing in your social channels. You're treating the Facebooks and the Twitters of the world like it's email marketing. You think that that works. You think that just pushing, come to my event, sign up for my... That is bringing absolutely no value to the end consumer. If you do not know how to provide value in your communication, you have absolutely no shot of conversion because the world got noisy, right? We're following so much more stuff. We're living through the ADD effect of our society at scale. Time and attention is the only valuable thing in the game right now, and you need to figure out how to break everybody's culture and tell your actual story. How many people in this room, and remember, lying is the devil. How many people in this room 5 or 6 years ago said the following things to themselves or to somebody else? I'm not signing up for Facebook. I'll never have a Facebook account. That's for kids. I'll never need one. Raise your hand. Don't lie. Raise them. Thank you. How many of those people that just raised their hands do have a Facebook account? Raise them. What everybody in the back just got to see is what I think about every day, which is that I think about the things that I know that you're going to do that you think you're not. Right now, you're sitting here and you don't think you're gonna wear Google Glasses. You're sitting here right now and you don't think that you're gonna be on Snapchat, and I know you're going to be. And so I spend my time trying to figure out how to tell stories on those platforms. It's what I've done my whole career, and it's what I absolutely implore you to really think about. Here's what I want you to really stick with. If you remember one thing, what you think is socially acceptable or proper or the way that it should be has absolutely nothing to do with the way you should be running your business. Just because you don't think it's great that people are in their phone 20 hours a day, or just because when you go out with your boyfriend or husband or wife or spouse to a dinner and you see a couple over there and you're like, look how sad that is. They're on the phones the whole time. Just because you believe that, and just because you don't like it, and because you're scared that your kids are watching YouTube for 4.5 hours a day, just because you don't like that, doesn't mean that that's the way you're supposed to market your business. You're supposed to flip it. Understand that's the reality of the marketplace. The quickest way to go out of business is to be romantic about how you make your money. And I highly implore all of you to figure out that it is 2013. If you are not, as an event marketer, a full-pledged effort of storytelling on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram at this moment, you are borderline not relevant to what's about to happen in the next 24 months. That's period. That's the fact that, do you think your direct mail, who here can't wait to leave this conference, run to their mailbox, and open up and go through their direct mail carefully? Who here loves navigating through the internet and clicking on banner ads? We're marketing in a way that we would never act like that as a customer, but we're just set in the ways that we've always story told and how we spend our money. Email, some of the old school people. How many people here had email in 1998, 1997? Just raise your hands. A lot, awesome. Do you guys remember how we read email back in the late 90s? We loved email. There was a movie called You've Got Mail, right? Like, I mean, I remember sending so many emails in 95 and 6 because I literally thought they would eventually charge for it because I was like, holy crap, I'm never gonna send a letter, which I never have. I mean, how is the post office gonna stay in business? They're gonna charge for this email. They're gonna charge for this stuff. I mean, do you remember when you used to get email in the late 90s? You literally read every word. You opened it, went through it carefully. I mean, this is what we lived through. And so now we just don't do that. Now we don't click banner ads. My first banner ad campaign, for anybody here do banner ads in their career? Raise your hands, just curious. So for the few of you, check this out. My banner ad click-through in 1997 was 41%. Now 0.01 is awesome. It's true. It's true. Now that we've established that it's kind of silly that we're thinking and not realizing that every time you throw an event, you're sitting with a huge value of content, right? Right now, this is being recorded. This is value, for Bizbash or Eventbrite. I mean, chop this up. That 1 3-second comment I made, chop that up and put that into Facebook because videos over 10 seconds don't work on Facebook. Or take a still shot from that last great talk and put a quote from her and make that a Pinterest pin that actually gets shared that links back to these two companies. That's what I'm talking about, my friends. How do you actually natively storytell on the platforms that people are actually using? And we have to respect the psychology of why somebody's on Pinterest versus them being on Facebook. See, most people, the 99%, you think of social networks as distribution for awareness for something else. You think that you're gonna tweet out a link and you're gonna post a link on Facebook and it's gonna link back to your page where you sign them up for your event, right? You think of it as distribution. I think of those platforms as platforms to natively storytell to bring awareness. It is a substantial difference, and what it does is it forces me to actually bring value on those channels instead of thinking of them as impressions. That is the shift. More importantly, I also realize that social networks are the first platforms ever that are actually a two-way conversation, and it's not just push, right? I mean, we used to send 4 million emails to wine customers and get 4 emails back. It wasn't what you did, right? We sent you an email, you went and bought the wine. Now you send a tweet to 10 people, 4 can possibly return and ask a question about it. It's a far more two-way conversation. Twitter, let's talk about it for 2 seconds. I was looking at a lot of the accounts that were using the hashtag or mentioning this event. When I looked at 8 different accounts, of those 8 people, 95% of the tweets they've sent in the last week have been full broadcasting tweets. And they've had about 1 or 2, up to 5% of actually replying to people on Twitter. Twitter is the cocktail party of our society. And it's about listening and not talking. If you go look at my Twitter account, which is GaryVee, you will see that when you hit all, because the way Twitter, you land and you just see what I broadcast, but up there you can toggle and say all. You will see that 90% of my tweets are responding to people. I'm searching wine or business terms and jumping into conversations. And now I've gotten big enough that a lot of stuff comes to me and I just answer. I bring value. We are not bringing value enough in our networks. And so what you need to be thinking about is how do you storytell in the platforms that matter to bring value to your actual consumer? How do you make a tweet that brings awareness to your event but isn't pushing your event? And the reason I named my new book, Jab, 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 Right Hook, is because it symbolizes to me give, 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 and then ask. I basically want to live a life of guilting people into doing the things that I want them to do. And I mean that, and it's important to understand. I truly believe, and most comfortable, it's my own DNA, that if I give first, that if I pay forward first, I have a dramatically better chance to convert. And when we market our events, we are not giving first. We need to give them free content. We need to answer their questions. We as organizers need to jump on Ustream or Spreecast for an hour and answer questions about it. We need to help promote the people that are at our event, not just pay them to use their equity to drive people to the event. We need to be events that build up personalities, because that's a way for you to save dollars instead of paying for personalities. We need to understand this very important statement. I really need you to leave with this. Every person in this room and every event in this room is a media company. And if you don't understand that, you have no chance of being relevant going forward. This is a very substantial statement, and I want to say it again. Both your events and you as individuals are now thrusted into competing as media companies. And if you are not putting out content, and if you are not engaging with the end consumer, you are going to have a very difficult time to break through in an extremely noisy world. And that's that. And that's what's happening. And so I have clients, Fortune 500 clients, they're spending billions of dollars on billboards, right? Here's a classic example of how I think about this. When you guys leave this conference, I know a lot of people are probably New Yorkers, but if you're not, and if you happen to drive, especially outside of the city, do me a favor, remember this talk and think of this one point. When you're driving, look at 5 people driving by you, right? Just drive, look at 5 people. I've been doing this at scale now for about 6 months. I'm gonna tell you a couple things. Number 1, Oprah is right. It is dangerous out there. I've literally, for the first time in 20 years, I'm now driving with 2 hands. Because, let me tell you this, 3/4 out of every 5 people are actually looking at their phone while they're driving, right? So my friends, billboards, which sell on impressions, which when you used to drive, you might have saw. People aren't looking at billboards anymore. They're not even looking at the fucking road anymore. There's a bus stop ad right by my office. I couldn't get my phone out quick enough to take this picture. There was a G.I. Joe, the movie, The Rock, good-looking dude, Diesel, big poster, right? They probably paid about $8,000 for it. A lot of traffic in New York City. In 1997, in 2003, you would have saw that. You were walking to the office, you saw it. Every single person. I was walking the other way. All 12 people were doing this. And so they didn't see that. And they didn't see your banner ad, and they deleted your bulk email promoting your event, and on and on and on and on. And so, I implore you to start taking these channels seriously. Instagram got 50 million users. 50 million users in 1.6 years, right? In 15 months, in 18, 50 million users in a snap, right? These platforms, Vine, 15 million users, right? In 90 days. We're at scale at the internet. We're at scale. We're just starting. We're grossly underestimating it. And what we want to do is we want to shout and push and tell people about our thing. And what we need to do is listen, and think, and then convert that listening, which is what is I like to call consumer insights. A funny thing happens when you really understand what people think about your events or the events that they want to go to, right? If you are not searching the key terms in your business on Twitter, event, what I did, those things at night, where they go, hashtags of events, competitive events. If you're not searching and understanding the sentiment and the feedback, the authentic feedback that they're giving, not when you give them a little thing at the end of the conference and say, how is it? Everybody's always over-indexing. No, the way they really think on Facebook and Twitter when they, act like themselves, not through a form. If you're not understanding that feedback, and if you're not paying attention to that feedback, you're missing out on so much data of how to make your product and service better. And so that's what I spend all my time on. How do I storytell in the actual year that it is? In the way that we actually do things. How many people here watch television? Don't answer yet. How many people here watch television mainly on their time, either on demand, DVR, HBO on the go, outside of live sports and Sunday night because it's got its own little thing? Outside those things, how many people in this room, don't lie, no half-ass hands, watch TV on their time? Raise your hand. Okay, weird, everybody. How many of you in 2013 have fast-forwarded every single commercial? Raise your hand. Weird, almost everybody. Meanwhile, the clients I work with collectively are going to spend $90 billion trying to tell you a story that in 2006 you would have saw and heard and understood and made a decision about that you no longer consume. And even if they're lucky to get the commercial to air in your face, how many people here watch television with at least one other electronic device, a phone, a laptop, or an iPad? Raise it. Good. Everybody. 2. Give it to me. 2. A phone and either a laptop or an iPad. Raise your hands. Raise them high. Raise them high. Front row, look back. I just want you to understand. Keep them up. Raise them high. We're talking about, let's just quantify this, my friends. 85% of this room watches television with 2 other screens to distract them. So even if a commercial comes to tell you to buy something, you know that when you're watching The Bachelorette and you take out your phone and you're like, holy shit, I can't believe she did that. You're not paying attention to the actual commercial. Just out of curiosity, how many people here watch television with 3 screens? Phone, laptop, and iPad. Raise your hand. All right. I'm going to need to talk to the 11 of you. You got some issues. Let's connect after this. And it's going to get worse and worse and worse. When the Beatles had long hair, that was a bad thing. That was rogue, right? Everybody thinks Snapchat's about sexting. Snapchat about sexting is old white people writing stories about Snapchat. Snapchat is a communication funnel that for those 9 seconds while you're holding it, you actually have to pay attention, which is why it's important. And once it evolves the way Facebook evolved and becomes older, there'll be an opportunity for you. Can you figure out how to tell a story in an 8-second picture with text over it that disappears? Can you give them a value proposition of why they should come? Can you be smart enough in marketing that know that Snapchat works, that you can screenshot it, and if they screenshot it, that gives them $10 off at the door? Are you smart? Do you get it? Because I promise you, the people that aren't smart, that don't get it, they get put out of business. And much better business people and much better organizations and much richer people than you have been put out of business in the last 10 years because they refuse to play like the year that we're actually in. Don't be that person. Don't let that happen. I hope you have a good day.